Well, we all know how pizzas are made, right? Just like we make them at home or restaurants, same, but through machines and at a very large scale in industries. The numbers are crazy. But only few people know its history. Yes, the food we can't live without. Do you even know how it came into existence? And trust me, you won't be happy to know it's a poor people's food. The only thing poors could make and afford back then. Back in thousands of years, long before Italy even existed as a nation. Ancient Egyptians baked flatbreads topped with herbs and oil. Persians under Darius the Great were cooking dough on their shields. But the modern pizza as we know it, the bubbling crust, tomato sauce, and molten cheese, was born in Naples, Italy in the late 1700s. At that time, Naples was crowded, chaotic, and poor. Its working class, the Lazzaroni, needed cheap, filling food they could eat on the go. So bakers began topping flatbread with the New World fruit, tomatoes, which had just arrived from the Americas. Locals fell in love instantly. Vendors sold slices from street carts, wrapping them in paper, the earliest form of takeaway. Then came 1889, when King Umberto I and Queen Margherita visited Naples. The local pizzaiolo, Raffaele Esposito, made 3 pizzas for them, one with tomato, mozzarella, and basil, representing the Italian flag. The Queen adored it, and Esposito named it Pizza Margherita. That royal approval turned a street snack into a national icon. But here's where it gets interesting. Pizza stayed mostly Italian until World War II, when American soldiers stationed in Italy discovered it. They brought the idea home, and by the 1950s, pizzerias began popping up across the US. Fast forward to the 1980s, and pizza chains like Domino's and Pizza Hut had transformed a humble Neapolitan dish into a multi-billion-dollar global industry. Today, there are entire factories dedicated to producing pizzas by the tens of thousands every day, frozen, boxed, and shipped worldwide. But how exactly does that transformation happen? That's the real deal. Modern pizza factories rely on high-protein wheat, often a blend of North American and European varieties. The protein content, usually around 12 to 14%, determines the dough's elasticity, that chewy bite you feel when you fold a slice. Most factories use a blend of ultra-refined and powdery, ideal for thin Neapolitan-style crusts and slightly coarser, used for frozen pizzas that need structural strength. Each flour batch is tested in on-site laboratories for gluten strength, ash content, and absorption rate. Every parameter matters for consistent texture. Finally, this flour is transported in bulk trucks to pizza factories, where massive steel silos store up to 200 tons of it at a time. Each batch is traceable by barcode so that every pizza can be linked back to the exact wheat field it came from. That's modern traceability. Every good pizza lives and dies by its sauce. That glossy red layer between the crust and cheese isn't just tomato paste, it's a calibrated blend of flavor, acidity, and texture that defines the soul of a pizza. And in factories, that balance is achieved through a process that's both agricultural and chemical precision. For frozen pizzas, the sauce often contains micro-encapsulated oils, tiny droplets of olive oil coated in starch, which only release flavor after reheating in your oven. That's why your frozen pizza somehow smells freshly baked when you cook it at home. Globally, pizza factories consume millions of tons of mozzarella every year, but this isn't the fresh, watery mozzarella from Naples. Industrial pizzas use low-moisture mozzarella or pizza cheese, engineered to melt perfectly and brown evenly under high heat. To make the cheese pizza perfect, factories often blend it with anti-caking agents like potato starch or cellulose to keep the shreds free-flowing. Finally, massive shredding machines turn 20-kilogram cheese blocks into tiny, uniform strips that can be automatically sprinkled over the pizza base. Each strand is optimized to melt without releasing excess oil, creating that golden, bubbling surface. In some factories, the mozzarella is mixed with cheddar or provolone for color variation. Others use vegan alternatives made from coconut oil and potato starch, engineered to mimic real cheese stretch with modified cellulose. And all of it happens under stringent hygiene, every surface sterilized with UV, every temperature monitored digitally. Because even one bacterial slip could spoil entire batches. The unmistakable aroma of fried chicken fills the air as millions of customers worldwide bite into that signature crispy coating. behind every red and white bucket lies one of the most sophisticated food production systems ever created, and world's most recognizable fast food. And we're here to take you behind those factory doors. The life of a chicken that will one day become a crispy, golden piece of KFC starts long before it ever hatches. It begins with what's called the breeder flock, carefully selected parent birds raised on specialized farms. These are not the same chickens that end up as food, they're the genetic foundation. Their only job is to produce hatching eggs that will go on to become broilers. For 18 days, the eggs stay in these massive incubators. The entire process takes about 20 days. When the first tiny cracks appear, you can hear a faint tapping, thousands of chicks pecking their way into life. Rows of automatic feeders and water lines stretch the length of the house, ensuring food and water are always within reach. These are precision-built. Feed flows through auger pipes at timed intervals, and nipple drinkers deliver water drop by drop to prevent spills that could dampen the litter. A modern broiler chicken grows astonishingly fast. In the 1950s, it took about 12 weeks to reach market weight. Today, it takes roughly 38 days. That's not because of hormones, which are illegal in poultry almost everywhere, but because of decades of selective breeding and optimized nutrition. The constant environmental balance keeps the chickens calm, an important factor because stress alters hormone levels, which can affect meat tenderness. Throughout the process, veterinarians oversee bird health through proactive vaccination schedules. By around 5 to 7 weeks, the chickens reach market weight, usually between 2.2 and 2.5 kilograms. So, now is the perfect time for the factories to get their stock. This phase might look simple from the outside, birds being moved from farm to plant, but in reality, it's one of the most sensitive and highly regulated steps in the entire supply chain. Because a stressed bird doesn't just lose weight, it affects the final meat texture, tenderness, and even frying behavior. Before anything starts, the processing plant sends in an official transport crew. Not random workers, but trained handlers certified in humane catching. Chickens are calmer in low light, their movement slows, and they group together naturally. Before birds are processed, they're placed in a chamber where oxygen is gradually replaced with a controlled mixture of carbon dioxide and nitrogen. The process is quick and painless. The birds lose consciousness calmly with no physical trauma or panic-induced stress. What was once a calm, softly lit holding area now opens into a bright, chilled industrial hall, filled with stainless steel machinery, conveyor belts, and a rhythm of controlled motion. This is where the biological form of the chicken transforms into a standardized food product. Now the line moves into evisceration, where internal organs are removed. Here you will see some high-speed machines make precise incisions, and workers extract the viscera, while trained inspectors visually check each carcass for abnormalities. The edible organs, like liver and gizzard, are separated and sent to a different line for cleaning and chilling. Every few seconds, veterinary inspectors stationed along the line examine carcasses for any signs of disease, bruising, or contamination. Birds that don't meet standards are automatically diverted from the main line for reinspection or removal. After rinsing, each carcass goes through chilling. The goal is to reduce the bird's core temperature to below 4 degrees Celsius within 2 hours. From here, the process splits. Some birds go for whole roasting, others to cut up lines for portioning. KFC's suppliers already prepare specific portion profiles to match restaurant product requirements. For example, the chicken used in a KFC zinger filet or hot wing isn't random. It's selected by muscle type, fat distribution, and even the geometry that allows the breading to coat evenly and fry uniformly. So how it all started? It begins in 1930 with Harlan Sanders, a man who would revolutionize not just how we eat chicken, but how we think about fast food entirely. Operating out of his humble gas station in Corbin, Kentucky, Sanders faced a fundamental problem that plagued every fried chicken operation of his era: time. Traditional pan frying required a grueling 30 minutes per order, making it impossible to serve the growing stream of hungry travelers passing through his station. While other cooks resigned themselves to the lengthy cooking process, he saw an opportunity. The results were immediate and dramatic. What once took half an hour now requires just 10 minutes. The pressurized environment created something extraordinary. It was sealed in moisture while developing that distinctive crispy exterior that would become KFC's signature. As demand exploded, Sanders refused to compromise on quality. He spent years perfecting what would become the most protected recipe in the food industry, his secret blend of 11 herbs and spices. Today, that original recipe remains unchanged, protected by security measures that rival state secrets. The complete formula is stored in a specially designed safe at KFC's Louisville headquarters, with access restricted to a handful of trusted executives. McCormick and Griffith Laboratories each produce exactly half of the spice mixture at their respective facilities. Neither company knows what the other contributes. The two halves are then shipped to a separate blending facility where they're combined into the final product. This elaborate security protocol ensures that even if one facility were compromised, the complete recipe would remain protected. Now that all the necessary preparation is done at the factory, the entire package arrives at different restaurant chains. That's why when you order, you get your meal within 5 minutes from any of their branches. Isn't it fascinating?
What's that fragrance? It seems like something huge is being baked. Just like you guessed, it's the batch of millions of crepes being made in factories. I am one of those freaks who is completely mad about fancy breakfast, and for that reason, I love having crepes loaded with lots of berries and cream in the morning. Undoubtedly, flour is the backbone of any crepe, so this is our first stop. The harvested wheat is transported to storage silos. Now the process is typical. The grains will be cleaned, tempered, and milled into superfine flour. Oh, absolutely. Crepes almost always include eggs. They're one of those amazing ingredients that holds everything together and gives crepes their soft, flexible texture. With the simple science, the proteins in eggs help the batter bind, while the yolks add richness. It ends up being the most delicious breakfast ever. Those industries also have amazing machines that can crack, separate, and measure the eggs at lightning speed. If you only use yolks, your crepes would be richer but a bit heavy. And if you used just whites, they'd be lighter but lack that signature creamy texture. So when in doubt, crack the whole egg. Once the carefully sourced ingredients arrive at the factory, it's time for them to meet and mingle in the batter preparation stage. There are two typical methods to make crepes in any factory, one of which is a cylindrical stove to pick the right amount of batter. Spread it in perfectly round shape and pass it along to the massive, flat griddle plates heated to the perfect temperature. For larger scale operations, conveyor belts carry the partially cooked crepe to a second griddle where it cooks on the other side for around 15 to 20 seconds. The other method looks like this, the typical batter dispenser. Crepe day, or la chandeleur as they call it in France, is such a charming tradition, only if I said it right. It's celebrated every February 2nd and has roots that go way back. While it has religious origins tied to the presentation of Jesus at the temple, it's become more widely known and loved as Crepe Day in modern times. If you wondered, the type of wheat you use for crepes makes a huge difference. Let's start with regular wheat. This is the most common choice for sweet crepes, as it has a mild flavor, letting the sweetness of your toppings shine. Now comes buckwheat, which is a whole different vibe. It's gluten-free and darker and has a nuttier, earthier flavor. It's more commonly used in savory crepes, like galettes from Brittany, France. With the crepes perfectly cooked and cooled, it's time for filling and stacking. With the crepes folded, filled, or stacked, it's time for the big finish, packaging and freezing. Hey, you smart people! Enjoying the video? Show us some love by hitting the like button and saving this video so it stays right there in your list to watch again later. Check out those big buddies conveniently handling the most back-breaking task. The workers who belong there must be grateful for sure. Waffles are one of those snacks that have a simple yet magical appeal. Now, think about enjoying a crispy waffle from a factory line, the kind that's perfectly crisped, golden brown, and ready to be devoured in just a few minutes. It seems tempting, isn't it? Waffles are made with a process called flash baking. This involves a quick heat blast, which crisps up the outside of the waffles in seconds, ensuring they stay crunchy longer and have a crispier texture when you bite into them. After baking, the waffles are carefully cooled to maintain their crispy texture. It's important to prevent moisture from making the waffles soggy. When you see those perfectly cut cubes, coated in glossy chocolate and wrapped up neatly, have you ever wondered how they're made in factories? The chocolate dropping system is where each cube is guided under a controlled chocolate flow, sometimes called a chocolate curtain. This silky cascade of melted chocolate ensures every cube gets an even coating. Whether you're enjoying them with cheese, spreads, or just on their own, there's something deeply satisfying about those crackers, specifically their crunch and lightness. Some crackers are perforated with tiny holes, which isn't just for decoration, obvious. Those holes, called docking holes, help prevent air bubbles from forming during baking. These cookies are somehow a cultural icon in South Korea and beyond. Known for their wholesome, lightly sweet taste and satisfying crunch, these cookies have become a go-to treat for generations. Speaking of cultural impact, digit cookies have become a staple in lunchboxes and tea times across South Korea. I don't want to put an end to this amazing video so soon, so you watch this luscious chocolate coating scene while we move to the next part of our video. You may love those fresh, juicy green grapes, but you can never guess what really goes into it. Well, we're here to show how those fresh grapes and delicious wine come into play, and no, it's not as disgusting as you've thought. All that weed control, fertilizers, and much more care comes along if we want to enjoy the best fruit of our lives. Indeed, it's a much more emotional time for farmers because now they know if their efforts were fruitful or gone wasted. Of course, they're not wasting those grapes. It's a special procedure called thinning. Thinning might sound like an odd thing to do. Why would farmers remove some grapes after working so hard to grow them? By cutting away some of the grape clusters, the potential grapes end up being bigger, juicier, and packed with more flavor. If a vine is left to grow too many grapes, it spreads its energy thin that produces small grapes with less sugar. Look at these beautiful rows and rows of red grapes, ripen under the sun, waiting for the perfect moment to get collected. Red grapes are packed with flavor, antioxidants, and a deep color that makes them perfect for everything from juice to wine. The machine moves through the rows of vines, so it can work both ways. Instead of cutting the grapes off, the machine gently shakes the vines. This shaking is just enough to loosen the ripe grapes from their stems. Sometimes it's hard to express how grateful we are for the love you're showing us. Please stay with us till the end of the video to discover the amazing strategies used in food factories. As soon as they've arrived, those tons of grapes roll through a bunch of hands, so only good grapes make it till the end. These advanced machines are gently taking the grapes towards their thorough bath so they get cleaned up after their journey from the vineyard. Soaking them for a bit enhances their juiciness while making it easier to lose the dirt along the way. And that dirt is taken to the off-bounds or outside of the factory to keep it all clean. Now these grapes are fed into a machine called grapes crusher, which gently breaks open the grapes, releasing the juice from inside. Their working isn't the biggest mystery after all, just like how a regular crusher works, but their technique of winemaking is super interesting. What they're doing right now is basically turning the material upside down. This juice is repeatedly turned upside down to make everything soaked in itself properly, for better flavor. And they do this procedure like 3 times a day. The juice doesn't just flow directly into bottles. Instead, it's sent to the press where the must is squeezed to separate the juice from the solid parts, like the skins and seeds. It goes through screening, filtering, and all those necessary techniques to make it residue-free. And it's still grape juice, not wine, yet. Look at that wastage being repurposed for literally many global needs. While on the other hand, we have that clear grape juice ready to be transformed into delicious wine. Recent research says we typically consume over 70 million metric tons of grapes every year in various forms. The numbers are surprising. Here the game begins, and these oak drums play an important role in fermenting the grape wine to the bestest limit. During fermentation, natural sugars in the grapes are converted into alcohol by yeast that produces carbon dioxide as a byproduct. Even in regular winemaking or juice production, the release of carbon dioxide helps stir and mix the liquid. And that fermentation process that looked so simple was actually the matter of months. As soon as the batch passes all the quality test protocols, it is sent to fill in the hoppers for easy bottling. And wait for that surprisingly clean and spill-free filling. Once the bottles are filled, sealed, and labeled, they're packed into boxes. Keep calm, they're coming to you soon. Look at you, all excited, can't wait for the process to be unlocked. But what if I make things extra spicy and tell you where you can get the freshest coconut water ever? Just hang in there for a few more moments and you'll be served with the rare but most aromatic coconut water. Let it begin already. If we're going to talk about all coconuts today, how can we skip where they grow the most? So, Thailand takes the lead here because these areas provide the ideal environment that coconut palms need to thrive. Plenty of sunlight, warm temperatures, and abundant rainfall. That's why you might have noticed they're always most seen in tropical areas. Yeah, your favorite holiday spot. Coconuts are known for their ability to float on water, which is why they're spread all over the world's tropical beaches. This unique ability also makes harvesting easier. For farmers, it's a win-win. They can simply collect the coconuts floating on the water without worrying about damage. Once they've made it to the top, they carefully chop down the coconuts using machetes, picking the ones that are perfectly ripe and ready to deliver that delicious coconut water. It takes about 7 years for coconut trees to reach their prime. 7 whole years of patience before they're ready to start producing those delicious coconuts. That's a pretty long wait, right? So here we're going to spill the tea. The coconut pods coming ahead belong to a recognizable brand that offers fresh, young coconuts designed for easy consumption. You know these coconuts are sourced from organic Nam Hom coconut farms in Thailand. Yep, the famous 100% organic and aromatic coconuts. Yes, the Nam Hom coconut is famous for its sweet taste, aromatic fragrance, and refreshing water. It's often considered the best coconut in the world. Also, unlike most coconut varieties, Nam Hom coconuts have a very thin shell, just 2 to 3 millimeters thick. That's why cocoa thumb pods are so easy to open, making them the best choice in this industry. Immature coconuts are much easier to peel than their mature counterparts, while mature coconuts have that tough, fibrous husk that requires some serious muscle to get through. Plus, immature coconuts tend to have more water inside, which gives them a lighter, more manageable feel. This entire product is a bit more unique and closer to the natural experience. Instead of preserving the coconut water inside, they keep it all natural. Yes, 100% natural coconut water without added sugar. At this stage, the coconuts are still whole, packed with fresh, naturally filtered coconut water and sealed inside their hard shells. But before they're ready to hit the market, factories take a few extra steps to make sure the water stays pure and easily reachable to the consumers. Now comes the step where they have to create the signature easy open spot. And that technique is exactly how the product got its name. So I'll let you guess its name. Watch closely. Since the coconut pods are meant to be held and sipped directly through a straw, hygiene is a big deal. As it is sealed naturally and doesn't need refrigeration until opened, it's also popular for travel, hiking, and outdoor adventures. Since these coconuts travel long distances, they need extra protection while still keeping their natural look. Each carton is carefully weighed to make sure every box holds uniform-sized coconuts to meet the export numbers. The process of pasteurization and filtration slightly alters the water's natural taste and nutrients, making it less authentic. The moisturizing properties of coconut water can help dark spots and other skin flaws look less noticeable, giving the skin a healthier complexion. So drinking coconut water daily can give you lots of visible results. Do you love coconut jellies? Yeah, this one's the rare kind that you could only find in Semarang. People love coconut jelly because it's light, refreshing, and naturally sweet. Unlike heavy desserts loaded with sugar and cream, this one feels clean and hydrating thanks to the coconut water base.